Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today my special guest is Mr. Damon West. Welcome, Damon.
Hey, man, thanks a lot for having me, Pastor Sharp, man. It's good to see you, man.
Hey, man, good to see you.
I love what you've done with the place.
Thank you so much. Hey, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man, well, where do I start, man? You want me to start? Let's say the most important day of my life, man, most pivotal day of my life, July 30th, 2008, man. I was sitting around my little rundown apartment in Dallas, Texas, and I'm smoking meth with my meth dealer. And that's the day the cops come in and arrest me. A SWAT team comes in Dallas. And as I like to tell kids when I go around talking about it, that's not the day I was arrested. That was the day I was rescued.
Wow.
God got me out of a situation I couldn't get myself out of. Man, I came from a good family, a great family in Port Arthur, Texas, man. My dad was Bob West, a sports writer. You remember Bob West?
Yes. But now, hold on a second, David. I got to take you back a little bit.
Go back.
Because you were the star quarterback.
Yes, sir.
At Thomas Jefferson High School.
For 3 years. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what? You graduated?
Graduated. I got a football scholarship to the University of North Texas. Played quarterback there. Got hurt against Texas A&M. But see, at that point, I had all my priorities in the wrong place. All I cared about was being a college football quarterback, and I put all my eggs in one basket, and bam, against Texas A&M, my career is over.
Wow.
I came to a fork in the road, and instead of making the right choice and putting something good and godly in that giant hole, I put bad things in, drugs.
So Damon, hold up a second. So football was your life.
That's it, unfortunately.
And then once the injury happened, it seems as if your life was gone.
It seemed, yeah, and I had this giant pity party, this big adult man and a little boy in a man's body having a giant pity party, and I paid for that pity party all the way up until the time that I walked out of the Mark Stiles unit on November 16, 2015, man.
Okay, so back at North Texas, okay, so you start making some bad decisions.
Yes, sir.
Got involved with the wrong crowd.
Yes, sir.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, man, so I got into cocaine, I got into pills, to ecstasy, drinking all the time, hanging out with a bunch of women. I was in a fraternity, I was partying, and we got into criminal addictive behavior in that fraternity back in the day. But somehow, by the grace of God, I graduated from the University of North Texas. I don't even know how my GPA was terrible. I mean, everything suffers when you're out there on drugs and you're away from God. Yeah. Everything suffers, man.
Yeah. So even though you got and you were going to be a stockbroker, I understand.
Yeah, well, I graduated from University of North Texas with a bachelor's degree in sociology. I went on to work in the United States Congress for a guy from Houston named Gene Green, a congressman named Gene Green. Then I worked for a guy running for president of the United States, Dick Gephardt. And then whenever he dropped out of the race in 2004, I went to be a stockbroker for one of the biggest banks in the world, UBS, in their Dallas Highland Park branch office. I was training to be a stockbroker. At the time, I was introduced to methamphetamines, and that was a whole different fork in the road there.
Okay, so you're involved in meth now.
Yes, sir.
So what is the decision process you're going through in your mind? I mean, you know, this drug is taking over. So.
Oh man, I gave up I freely gave up everything for that drug. I couldn't get enough of that drug, man, and it took me over. I tell kids all the time, if you don't understand a thing I'm saying, remember this. Meth is the most evil, most addictive drug ever made, or ever known to man. Look, it took me months. Within a matter of months, I gave up my car, my job, my savings account, my sanity, my family, my tethering to God. I gave it all away. I went from working on Wall Street to living on the streets of Dallas, man, like a bum, sleeping on park benches and alleyways. This clean-cut guy you see in front of you, I'm in recovery today, but if I'm in my addiction, man, I'm living like an animal. And I'll steal from you and everybody in your church. Yeah, well, that's what addicts do. Addicts aren't bad people, we're sick people. And I'm still an addict today, but I'm in recovery today. But don't let this clean-cut, polished guy with his championship football ring on, working for provost of your law firm, don't let that fool you. Because I'm in recovery today. If I'm in my addiction, all bets are off.
Now, okay, so then you made some bad choices.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you got in trouble with the law. Tell us about that.
Oh, man, so as an addict, you know, and I didn't have anything going for me, I hung out with a bunch of other addicts. I lived in a little trap house, man, about 15 of us, and all we did was sit around and get high all day long, smoking more meth, talk about how we're going to get more. So we start breaking into storage units, we start breaking into cars, and then it escalated to home burglaries. And I always want to talk about my victims when it goes into home burglary, because here's the deal, man. And when I committed these burglaries, I didn't just take these people's property, because I did, man. I took a lot of property from a lot of people. I stole something more important from these folks, man. I took their sense of security. Right, I don't know if they ever get that back. There's people that are going to go home in Dallas today. They're going to put their key in the door, and they're going to think about Damon West. Damon West, that guy that crossed his threshold. It's in my most sacred rooms where my children sleep. This guy that got into my house and stole my sense of security. I took these people's memories, man. People would put their most prized possessions in safes. And if I got into a safe, I'd take that safe somewhere in downtown Dallas, pop it by a dumpster, take the stuff out the dope man will take for trade, and the rest of the stuff, man, I threw it away. I threw these people's memories
Wow.
away. Their photo albums, baby pictures, pictures of family events, pictures of old relatives. You can't replace this stuff.
Wow.
Family heirlooms, man. They just make one of those. They don't make 2 heirlooms.
Wow.
I threw it all away, man, because I couldn't smoke it, man. I hurt a lot of people.
Wow. Okay, but then you got caught.
Then I got caught. The Dallas SWAT team on July 30th, 2008. That's the most pivotal day in my life. In fact, when I go to University of Pittsburgh tomorrow and talk to their football team, I start my story out on that day. That's the most pivotal day of my life. God said, Damon West, I am tired of your crap, and I'm pulling you out of this life right now. But yeah, the Dallas SWAT team came in, saved my life.
Hold on, Damon. They kicked the door in.
Man, I'm sitting there, when I'm telling you, I'm sitting there and I'm doing drugs with my meth dealer. I hear a window shatter, and tumbling across my living room floor, I'm watching this canister tumble over and over, and it registers. Oh my God. And I got up to go look at this thing. That's how whacked out I am. I get up and go look at this thing, and bam, blows up right in my face. Bright white light, loud noise, that stun grenade blew up right in my face. And when I came to, man, they got a cop in full SWAT riot gear. He's got his boot on my chest and the barrel of a machine gun. It's in my eyesight, and I can feel it, man. It's cold. And he's screaming, don't move, don't move. Man, I looked up at him and blinked. I said, don't worry, don't worry.
What you
No,
say?
yeah, I'm not
move.
going anywhere, man.
Ain't gonna move.
And his partner came in screaming, we got him. We got the Uptown Burglar. And they did. That's what they called me, man. And that's
Uptown burglary.
Uptown
You
burglary.
went from a star quarterback,
Yeah.
I mean, going to college
With a great family.
with a great family.
Could have been anything I wanted to be in life. All the love, opportunity, and supports a kid would want to need to be anything in life. And this is the path I ended up on because of addiction.
And they called you the what?
The Uptown Burglar.
The
And
Uptown burglar.
And I will have to live with that for the rest of my life. That moniker will be stuck to me for the rest of my life because of the things I did. And I did those things they said I did.
Okay,
too.
so now they got you.
Yeah.
They take you to court.
They take me down there and they book me in, and I got one thought going through my head that first 24 hours. They put me in a holding cell. How am I going to get high from in here, man? That's it. That's my addict brain. I got nothing.
Hold up, David. They got you in jail.
In jail.
And
In
all
jail,
you can think of is the next high.
I've got a first-degree felony hanging over my head for organized crime with a maximum sentence of life in prison. And I don't care about that. I don't care about my victims. I don't care about my family. I don't care about anything.
You
Not
don't even care about
myself.
yourself.
Not even care about myself. Just I care about myself. All I care about is the dope.
The next high.
And that's the life of an addict, man. That's my addict brain. That's all it's firing off. I sat in that county jail for 10 months. And at the end of 10 months, I'd say the same prayer to God every day. God, get me out of this trouble. And if you do, there I'm bargaining with God. God waits for me to get up every morning, wringing his hand. Boy, I hope Damon gets up, we can run the universe.
Yeah.
No. So I'm sitting there saying, if you do, God, if you get me out of this, man, I'll be a normal guy again. I'll get a job, and I'll just smoke meth on the weekends, God. Yeah.
Wow.
That's my crazy prayer. But God had other plans, obviously. When I was in county jail, I had 2 conversations I always go back to that changed my life, that turned my life around. The first one is when I'm in there for a couple of days. I'd already been in a fight over a breakfast show. You can look at me, man. Do I look like jail material?
No.
No, man. And Dallas County Jail, it's not a small jail. It's 8,500 people. It's like a small city, you know? So they throw me in the worst the worst tank they can find, and within 24 hours, I'm in a fight over a breakfast tray. So a couple of days into it, I'm scared to death, man. I've never been in this environment. So I call home on one of those blue day room phones. And,
Yeah.
And man, my old man, I've never seen my dad cry in my life, but I heard him cry that one time. And he's screaming in the phone, Damon, how did we go so wrong? How did we mess up so bad with you? And the worst part, what could we have done different? And I'm sitting there going, oh, he's crying, I'm crying. My mom's a registered nurse, and she's the most Christian woman I've ever met in my life. She's got a cross or a prayer plaque in every room in the house growing up, right? You couldn't escape God in this woman's home.
Yeah.
But she gets on the phone. She says, baby, listen, we need to talk. I've never seen your dad like this before. She said, we need to talk. She said, first of all, you need to know that you are loved unconditionally. No matter what you do, we'll never stop loving you. That's the deal we made with God when he loaned you to us. She said, do you understand
That's right.
that?
That's right.
I said, yeah, Mom. Through tears, I said, yeah, Mom, I got that. She said, good, because we just gave you back to God. She said, you're in Dallas County Jail now. There's nothing we can do to help you out. She said, but you are now a captive audience to God. You better start listening. And then she asked me a question. This is that conversation. She says, Damon, do you remember that plaque I had above your wall as a kid? Now, she's asking me about the one plaque in my bedroom where I slept for 18 years. She's got them all over the house.
Yeah, yeah.
She wants to know about the one in my room, and I can't think about it. Like I'm coming off that dope, you know?
Yeah.
I said, no, Mom, I don't. She said, baby, it was footprints in sand. Do you remember footprints in the sand?
Wow.
I was like, Mom, I don't. So she patiently and lovingly retold me the story of footprints in sand about a guy walking on the beach with God.
Yeah.
And they're watching a video play out of his life. And she said, every time something good happens in that man's life, there's 2 sets of footprints walking side by side. She said, but every time something bad happens, when there's pain, there's hurt, there's suffering, there's loss, when he loses his football career in college, 1 set of footprints. She said, the guy called God out and finally said, God, what's up, man? Every time something good happens, you walk with me. I can see it, 2 sets of footprints. But every time something bad happens, you abandon me, man. I see it, 1 set of footprints. What's up, God? She said, that's when God said, Damon, you fool. Every time you
I've
saw
been
one set
carrying
of
you.
footprints, I didn't abandon you. I carried you. Well, she started screaming at me. She said, baby, look down right now in that jail. There's only one set of footprints, and they're not yours, buddy. Get on God's back. I'm not going to lose my son. So that's when I started getting in touch with God. Now, this conversion doesn't happen overnight. Like I said, I still got that crazy prayer.
Yeah.
I'm on the day room phone in there trying to call people from the dope world trying to get out. I'm committing more crimes on that phone, and the folks are listening too. You know, so this isn't an overnight conversion. I'm not ready to go. That's why God doesn't open up those doors. I go to trial 10 months later, and the jury gives me 65 years in prison.
65 years.
65 years in prison, man. They took 10 minutes, a 6-day trial. They took 10 minutes to deliberate on that.
Hold up, Damon. Hold up. At this time, how old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
33 years old.
33 years old.
And they give you a 65-year sentence.
And 65 is life.
Yeah.
Anything 60 and above, the state of Texas calls life, because you got to be 17 to go to prison. And 60 on top of that, that's an average lifespan of a human being. So 65 years as a life sentence. They maxed me out. $10,000 fine, 65-year sentence. Said, man, you are a menace to society. You're a threat to society. We got a place for you. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it took my breath away. That other conversation in prison, there were one more conversation with my parents, but the other conversation in prison that changed the course of my direction was when I go back to that pod. I'm asking all these guys, man, how am I going to survive prison? They're like, man, you're going to the worst part of the prison, man. They got a whole separate prison system for you, and it's on a maximum security unit, but it's going to be where they send all the life sentence people. You're on a one building for 5 years. You don't get to come off except to go to the chapel, go to the chow hall, go to the law library. That's it. So they said, man, you got to get into a gang, Wes. Black guys, white guys, Hispanic guys, Asian guys, they're all saying, man, you got to get into a gang. Make your life easy. Get into that gang, man.
Wow.
But this old black guy, man, this old black guy named Jackson. I called him Mr. Jackson out of respect.
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson had been to prison 4 or 5 times. He said, look, man, I see how you're deflecting all these knuckleheads all the time, trying to tell you got to get in the gang. He said, don't believe that, man. He said, if you want to do prison this way, let me tell you, let me lace you up with prison. So he laces me up. He says, first thing you got to understand is prison's all about race. Most disgusting environment you've ever seen in your life, man. He said, the blacks are about it, the whites are about it, the Hispanics are about it, race. Don't get in a wreck over race. He said, listen, he said, you're going to fight a lot if you don't get into a gang. You're going to fight all the white gangs, and if you survive that without getting into a gang, you're going to fight all the black gangs, because they're going to send the Crips, the Bloods, Mandingo Warriors, Gangster Disciples. They're going to send them after you, man, after the Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Circle, White Knights, the Woods, after they get done with you, right? But he's saying, man, you could do this because you don't have to win all your fights in prison, but you got to fight all your fights, and that's a lesson in life.
Wow.
You don't have to win all your fights, but you got to fight all your fights. You got to get up every day and keep going. And then he told me, he said, look, let me break this down for you, West. He called me college boy all the time. So he said, college boy, let me break it down for you. He said, prison's like a pot of boiling water. Let's say this analogy, prison's a pot of boiling water. And anything you put in that boiling water is going to forever be changed by the heat and the pressure. He said, I'm going to put 3 things in that pot of boiling water we call prison. I'll put a carrot, an egg, and a coffee bean. He said, first things first, I put this carrot in that pot of boiling water, what happens? I said, well, Mr. Jackson's carrot turns soft. He said, that's right. He said, that carrot turns soft. He goes to prison, that carrot gets beat, he gets robbed, he gets raped, he may get killed.
Wow.
Can't be the carrot. He said, but that egg, let's put that egg in that pot of boiling water of prison. He said, what happens to the egg? I said, well, it's going to get hard. He said, that's right. That egg went in with that hard outer shell, that soft liquid inside, but prison turned him hard. He's incapable of giving or receiving love. He said, that egg is going to be fine physically, but inside, he is dead to the world. He can stay in prison because he goes back on the installment plan all his life. That's recidivism. He said, but if I put that coffee bean, the smallest of these things, in that pot of boiling water, he said, what happens when I put a coffee bean in a pot of boiling water? I said, I don't know, Miss Jackson. He said, college boy, you make coffee. He said a coffee bean had the power to change the entire atmosphere in there. You had to change the name of the water to coffee. That coffee bean had made that atmosphere change to his will. He said, everybody puts out energy, Wes. If you put out negative energy, have a scowl on your face, you walk around the mean mug all the time, you're going to attract that same kind of person, and you're going to affect the area around you. He said, but Wes, if you walk around positive with a smile on your face, you let these dudes know they're not getting to you, man, you're going to change that prison from the inside out, and other coffee beans in that prison are going to find you. That's how you're going to survive.
Now you made a statement a while back, and I read it, that you're never alone in prison.
Prison's the only place where you're never alone, but you're always lonely.
Wow.
Man, you're surrounded by the wrong people all the time, man. So you're never alone, but you're lonely, man, because you don't have the right people with you, man. Your family's out there. And that's crazy. They call these gangs families in there. A gang getting a family? Man, a family loves you. A family writes you on your birthday. A family takes your phone calls. A family puts money on your books while you're in prison. I've never seen a guy in prison that was in a gang when one of his gang brothers got out, ever heard from him again.
Wow.
It has never happened in the history of prison. It never happens.
Wow. Now you say you're looking at prison as an opportunity.
That's right.
Instead of a punishment.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
I had to change my whole mindset. Because I'm in there, I've got a 65-year sentence. I don't know when I'm getting out. I don't even know if my parents can be alive when I do. But I know Damon West has to make some changes. Damon West did a lot of bad things to be sent to prison for 65 years. I earned that prison sentence, man, and I accept that. So I go into that prison, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be my opportunity to work on myself every single day. 3 areas: spiritually, mentally, physically. Every day, man, I try to feed myself the right stuff. They say you are what you eat. That's not just about food. What kind of books do you read? What kind of videos do you watch? Spiritually, what do you feed yourself every day? You know, because you're going to look like that on the outside too. You're going to show that. You know, so every day, spiritually, mentally, physically. And then I learned the secret to life. They write books about this stuff, but the secret to life is a one-page book. It's one sentence. The secret to life is to serve others and be humble. That's it. Yeah. And I learned that through a lot of service work. I saw guys coming into the prison, in the prison act, these guys, the Axe brothers that they have around the Golden Triangle, they come into the prison and bring a retreat, and they bring Jesus in for 4 days to the prison, man. And I saw these men coming in there that they take off from their jobs and their families for 4 days and hang out with us inmates, man. And that meant a lot to me, man. And I saw conversions happen. I saw the biggest, baddest guys in the joint, tatted from head to toe, killers, man, rapists, going in there and crying like babies when the Holy Spirit got to them, man. And I called my mom from that day room phone when we got out of that retreat on Sunday and said, Mom, I had the best time in prison this weekend. And she's heard everything from me, but she's like, you had the best time in prison? Well, go ahead and tell me, Damon. So I told her about these guys. I said, Mom, when I get out of prison, I got to find these guys. These are some positive dudes. And they showed me what the secret to life is: to serve others, be humble. Whenever you can find someone to help that can do nothing for you at all in return, then you're truly living, man.
So Damon, 65 years, and you here right now. Man. So how did you get out?
Miracle, God. Look, technically I did the right things in prison. I served a amount of time. My crimes were non-aggravated. A non-aggravated offense means no one was physically hurt during the commission of your crime. Right. So I had to build up 15 years of my sentence. So they say if you go in there, you follow the rules, you act right, and you work, then you can build up 15 years. When you get to 6 years. You get another 6 years for work. Another 6 years for good behavior, another 3 years for work. That's 15. So technically, all I had to do was just come up for that. But listen, nobody makes their first parole in a life sentence, man. Nobody. But I had a lot of help along the way. None of this is Damon West. Damon West is not this darn good. Damon West had a lot of help from family. Listen, man, my family came to see me over 150 times in the style unit. Over 150 times they made that walk. My mom had her knees replaced while I was in prison. I get to go in the Styles unit now and go on church retreats, those same Acts retreats, and I've got to see what it's like coming into the prison from that side. My mom had to walk 200 yards each way to come see her boy.
On bad knees.
On bad knees. Look, I live with my parents now. On parole, I had to parole to their house. My mom could barely move around the house without grunting in pain. Imagine what she went through. Man, I had so much gratitude when I got to go into that prison for the first time, and I wanted to go back into that prison. Because, man, it's amazing. Being able to bring some hope back into that place, because so many people brought me hope, man. I told you, I didn't do this by myself. I had community behind me. Friends came to see me. If you got 5 visits while you were in prison over 10 years, you're one of the richest guys in the joint.
Wow.
I got one every weekend, man.
Wow.
Every weekend, man. So I had so much. I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I never felt like I was sucked into that place. And I fought. I fought in the beginning to be able to stand on my own, man, because Mr. Jackson told me also, he said, man, the strongest man in prison always walks alone. Don't ever forget that. The strongest man's not in the gang. The strongest man's the guy that walks alone.
So Damon, if you were to go back and talk to the Damon at 17 years old, what would you tell him? Look into that camera and tell the Damon of 17 years old what life is all about.
Man, I would tell that Damon at 17 years old, first of all, you're a little cocky, arrogant dude, and you need to change your ways. Second of all, I would tell him, man, you need to get help, because at 17 years old, I was doing drugs. I started drinking when I was 10, smoking pot when I was 12, and I messed around with girls. I'm doing stuff 12-year-olds don't even need to be knowing how to do. So by the time I'm 17, I'm so far gone in that mentality, and it's all about me. I would tell 17-year-old Damon West, quit living for you and start living for everybody else. You know, every day when I wake up, I say a prayer, a 2-part prayer. This is all I've been saying since I got into recovery in prison. God, put in front of me what you need me to do today for you, and let me recognize it when I see it. That's it, man. And that's what life is all about. I got into recovery in prison. One of the biggest helps I had in recovery, and that's what I tell that 17-year-old self, get into recovery, because I was an addict at a young age.
Yeah.
Get into recovery. I got into recovery in prison, man. They have a recovery group that comes in there, these guys from the outside bring it in, and that changed my life. Recovery is a way of life. I'm in recovery now. I go to 3 or 4 meetings a week, you know, and I go in there, and I have tools now, man. I'm tapped into a higher power, to God. My higher power is God, but I'm tapped into something now that anything I come into, any kind of problem that comes my way, I've got tools to deal with it now because I surrendered. You have to surrender.
Wow.
That's what I tell my 17-year-old self. Surrender. I don't control anything, 17-year-old self. The serenity prayer. One of the guys in recovery meeting put it on the board one day. He said, I'm going to diagram the serenity prayer. I said, how are you going to diagram prayer? He said, sit down, Damon, watch. He said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Put a line from one side of the chalkboard to the other. He said, now imagine that line goes from horizon to horizon, longer than a human eye can see. That's God's line. He said, don't touch anything on God's line. grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You can't change anything on God's line, and don't touch it. You get in trouble. He said, the courage to change the things I can. He took his fingers an inch apart, went and erased an inch out of that line. He said, that's your line, Damon. That's what God gives you to work on. He said, there's 4 things in that line. What you think, what you say, what you feel, and most importantly, what you do, because everybody sees that. That's all you get to work on. The last sentence of the prayer is the most important, is the wisdom to know the difference between that and that. Because that's yours. That's all you get to control in life. But at 17 years old, I thought I controlled everything. I thought I controlled everything till I got in recovery, till I'm in my 30s. And that's the thing I know now. I don't control a thing. That's God's. I'm in the car, he is driving, man. And I try to, as long as I stay out of the way, I'm going to be okay.
Wow. Well, listen, I tell you, we got to have Damon come back.
I would love to, man.
We got to have you come back.
Make it happen. Let me come on a Sunday.
Hey, I will.
I would love to, man.
I will. Well, listen.
Shake on it. Shake on it. All right.
All right. I'm going to have you back. Amen. And look, I'm going to have you back. We have some youth. We have our youth event coming up in August. You need to come tell that story to them.
Man, sign me up. I go around speaking everywhere I can to go try, and I'm free, man. It's the best. I give this away, man. This is the way I give back to my home, man.
Wow.
This is it, man. I go around talking all over the place. And Provost Humphrey Law Firm, man, they're so supportive. They gave me a job right out of prison. You know, the second day I was out of prison, I went to Provost Humphrey, and Mr. Humphrey gave me a job.
Wow.
I mean, how many times did that happen to a guy getting out of the joint, man, with a 65-year sentence? I mean, it's just God thing after God thing. So I have to give this away. You set me up to come up here. I'll come talk to your kids anytime you want.
Man. We'll do that
anytime you want.
All right. Well, listen, we got to go. We got to go right now. Listen, we can stay here all day, but we can't because he got a flight to catch. Yeah. So listen, I want to thank you for joining us today and listening to this powerful testimony. How God delivered him out of a 65-year sentence. It's possible. It is definitely possible. Thank you for joining us today. We're gonna bring him back to sit down again on the set. We're going to bring him back to talk to our kids. We're going to bring him back to talk to our church. But listen, we got to go right now. And listen, thank you for joining us. And we will see you next time on the broadcast.